I'm Mooch, this is Pigeonhead Architecture, and today we're going to be talking about some current events going on in the architecture world. For starters, we're going to be taking a look at a project called Nanchang Waves, which is located in Nanchang, China. And it was designed by a group called Nordic Office of Architecture. Nordic Office of Architecture's goal, as mentioned on their website, is to build a sustainable society through exceptional architecture that transforms, inspires, and enhances the environments in which we live. And I believe that this project definitely does that. Now, the project looks really interesting, but what exactly is it? Well, essentially, it's an observatory that's located in the heart of a residential district, and it offers the community places to go observe the nearby wetlands as well as hang out in the landscape that they've created. I really enjoy this aerial photograph here because it really shows how the project goes from natural to man-made, and they've basically used the wetland as a natural inspiration to form the own landscape / pocket park that they have below their observatory. On their website, you can find this axonometric, this exploded axo, and it does a good job at informing the four basic elements that make up this project. The first is the observatory at the top. This offers a 360-degree view to the surrounding area. That's of course followed by that double helix ramp, which connects that horizontal park at the bottom with the observatory above. And then it's made up of program, and the program includes areas for events. You can see some sort of amphitheater that's open right here at the bottom, and it also includes cafes, galleries, and urban architecture gardens for the neighboring schools. After some time, the project has now finally been completed. Our next story is a higher education project that's located in Toronto, Canada. This, of course, is for Centennial College, and it was a collaboration between Smoke Architecture, Dialogue, and Ellis Don, who worked on the design together. Now, the real interesting thing here is this is the first zero carbon, mass timber, higher education building in the whole entire country. But what does that all mean? Well, let's start out with zero carbon. So zero carbon is basically the idea that you use as much energy as you produce on site. In other words, you're not using up more energy than your building is actually creating. Going back to this long description, mass timber, what exactly is mass timber? Well, simply put, mass timber is a way of constructing that uses wood as its main structural members, and there's many benefits to using mass timber. One of the many reasons is that it's much lighter than concrete, which reduces their foundation size and their inertial seismic forces and embodied energy. What that all means is that it's more sustainable because you have to use less material overall on the project, and its embodied energy means it's easier to produce or manufacture than other materials out there. And not only is it easier, but it consumes less energy to be able to harvest or to create mass timber than other popular building materials out there. Now, the reason that many designers prefer mass timber is because of its strength, its fire resistance, aesthetic, construction efficiency, reduced carbon footprint, and the ability to work alone or alongside as the main structure of the building. It's important to note that the concept for this project was inspired by regional Anishinaabe architecture. Anishinaabe is the name that's given to the group of culture-related indigenous people that are resident to Canada and the United States. Now, when you look closely at the facade of the building, you'll notice that it looks almost like scales. And that is because the building envelope aspires to biomimicry, which takes elements from nature and reflects it in the architecture itself. In this case, they used aluminum shingles on the facade to form scales of a fish or snake. They mentioned that on an animal, scales are used for fluid movement, but since a building doesn't move, of course, the skin that's been designed here for this building is actually used as a high-performance envelope that can adjust to temperature conditions. Our next project, 1200 Bay Street, which is by very well-known architects Herzog and Demiron, is set out to be the tallest skyscraper ever built in Canada. That's right, here we have another project that's located or will be located in Canada. Now, the reason I say will be is because it hasn't been built yet, it has just been proposed. And what's been proposed is an 87-story skyscraper that will be located on the corner of Bay Street and Bloor Street. Now, for those of you that are unfamiliar with Herzog and Demiron, these are some of their projects. The one at the top right is usually called Bird's Nest, and the ones at the bottom are actually from Miami. So the one at the left is the 1111 parking garage, and the one on the right is the PAM Museum. The structural core of the building, that is what holds it up, is going to be located on the west side, which allows the building to maximize the area of the floor plate, but it also provides more privacy from the buildings that are located on the west side of this proposal. Now, it's important to note that Foster is already working on constructing the tallest ever skyscraper in the region. But if this actually gets built, they're going to take the title from Foster. It's going to have 332 condominium units ranging from 1 bedroom to multi-story penthouses. Can't wait to see this being constructed. For our next story, I decided to make my canvas look a little bit crazy because of the crazy nature of this project. And this next project is called The Crystal, and it's by Softy Architects. A lot of you guys are familiar with Softy, and this is his Marina Bay building, which we've all, I'm pretty sure, have seen. And if not, you've definitely seen Habitat 67, which is just a combination and stacking of these crazy buildings. It's definitely really intense architecture. But the interesting thing about this project, as you can see, it's a horizontal skyscraper. That's right, a horizontal skyscraper that is sitting on top of other skyscrapers. So it just seems like something out of a movie. Now let's take a look at that conceptual sketch. So a lot of you guys that fear getting into architecture because you can't sketch, look at this. You don't have to have realistic sketches. All you have to do is have something that's conceptual enough to generate ideas. So don't worry about the quality of your sketching. I'm not saying this is bad, just saying you don't have to be Michelangelo. Now this project is located in Chongqing, China. And the idea is that it's gonna give visitors natural light, views, and a garden setting all throughout the year. This horizontal skyscraper is going to function as a link between all the adjacent buildings. So it's going to basically serve as circulation between the 4 accessible towers. It's a length of 300 meters, and it includes 15,000 square meters of gardens, dining, barn event space, residential clubhouse, an infinity pool, and a hotel lobby. It's just incredible. I can't even believe it. Finally, the public observatory is gonna offer views of the Yangtze and the Jialing rivers through a glass bottom, open air viewing deck, and I've included a small image of that there. For those of you who want to see the actual process of how they made this, the concept video, you can actually go to their website and they have a great video on it. I recommend you guys watch it. And for those of you that want to visit, it's already open. So you can purchase your flights and head over and take some pictures, tag me on Instagram when you go. Now, to end this video, I've concluded it with 2 mini stories. Our first of the 2 is the fact that they've just discovered a 3,000-year-old monument, a Mayan monument located in southern Mexico. That is insane. The way that they found it is using LiDAR technology. Now, what exactly is LiDAR technology? Well, it's short for light detection and ranging, and it's remote sensing technology. All it basically means is that they take a laser, they shoot it into the ground through a canopy of trees. That laser bounces back and creates a rendered 3-dimensional image that looks something like this. I'm guessing. I've never worked with that type of technology because it's fairly recent. It's from 2017, and it basically generates this. So what's the idea? The idea is that rather than excavating or destroying forests to get to whatever lies beneath, which you don't even know what it is, you just use the LiDAR technology or LiDAR technology to see what's below the canopy of trees. Now, what they've discovered is 1,400 meters in length, about a mile more or less, 400 meters wide, and between 10 to 15 meters tall. So that's about 3 to 4 stories tall. Now, those who are involved with this discovery and have used carbon dating to figure out the age of this, they've more or less figured out that the project is between 1000 and 800 BC, which makes it the oldest Mayan building discovered so far, which is just incredible. It's definitely going to change the way we think or current ideologies that we have about that period in time. And our final story here, it's a cool little project. This was actually for a design competition, and the winners of this design competition were Parking House plus, you guys are gonna kill me for pronouncing this, but Taggett and Looters. I'm sorry guys. Hopefully I can figure out how to pronounce that better in the future. But they've actually won a Danish design award in the livable cities category. Now, livable cities, that category, what it means, it's a design award for design driven solutions that humanize and simplify life in cities. And that is exactly what it does. What exactly is this project? Well, it's a parking garage that has been covered, and you can kind of see the ramp right there between the facade of this building, or behind the facade of this building. But what this project does is, number one, it somewhat transforms the envelope of the parking garage to not make it look so boring, and it actually brings down the scale of the parking garage. And the way that they do that is by creating this grid where the columns of the existing parking garage are, and they put some sort of transparent cladding, some sort of mesh, and also planters. So it's breaking down the scale, making more accessible to humans. They've added this really interesting stair, and I love this concept because the idea is that they have a stair that leads up to the rooftop, and this red rail that goes all the way to the top and wraps around actually becomes the program on the roof, which is a park. That's right. So I've never seen this before, but it's an actual park on a rooftop, and don't worry, there's rails around protecting everybody. But this allows people to use the top of this building rather than to park more cars, but as a place where people, children and families can gather together, spend time outside, have views to the city, and play with their friends and family. Now, the reason that they've chosen to go with this color palette, which I think works extremely well when you compare it to the rest of the city that's around it, the reason that they chose that is they were inspired by the actual history of the site and the actual characteristics of the red brick buildings that are located along the harbor. And this Danish project called Park and Play concludes our stories for this week. Before you guys go, I just want to mention that I want to start using this platform, aside from educating you guys as I do in my other videos, or entertaining as you can see in some of these other videos. I also want to use this platform as a way to showcase what's going on in the community. And what I mean by the community is pretty much your community. So if your firm, or maybe you guys are working on some cool stuff, it doesn't have to be life-changing projects, but something you find interesting, just go ahead and tag me on Twitter or Instagram, preferably Twitter. I'm going to start using that more often, but tag me with your projects. Give me as much information as you can. Or if your firm has a website that's dedicated to that project, or maybe a page that's dedicated to that project, go ahead and tag me. I won't cover every single story I get, but my plan is that every Monday I'll have these stories. I'll try to cover some really famous, really popular things that are going on in architecture so that we all stay educated, but at the same time we'll be able to cover at least one story from something from your community. So go ahead and tag me on Twitter or Instagram, letting me know what exactly the project is. I hope to see a lot of cool stories soon. Again, I'm Mooch. This is Pigeonhead Architecture. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you down in the comments.